Good day, welcome to Syndicate 7 Innovation and Design Project 2022. Syndicate 7 decided to pursue SDG11 as a topic of interest that talks about making cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, and resilient, with particular focus on Target 11.7 that talks about providing access to safe, universal, and exclusive green and public spaces, particularly to women, children, and older persons and people with disabilities by 2030. This topic continues to be a topic of interest to cities all over the world, and park safety importance is reflected in different newspaper articles as seen in different articles. Our selection was supported and justified by stats from Stats SA that says crime against women does affect the activities they partake in, and a third of South African population feel as safe when they are using open spaces. But particularly important to note that park add to the well-being of communities, and their design and layout contribute to the perception of whether they're seen as safe or unsafe. And this became a particularly interesting topic during COVID-19 when people were in isolation and quarantine and needed the spaces more than the previously. Went to discover the topic through defining a challenge, desktop research, and some service safari, and gaining some insights from the user interviews. Our problem was clearly defined to say there is a perception among women that there is lack of safety in urban spaces. We continue to conduct some desktop research that gave us some key insights, really, to say ensuring community involvement and ownership is critical in finding solutions and interventions in this space, and actively used spaces are generally safer, and the crime prevention environmental design principles reduce fear, such as your features, such attributes such as lighting and markings and pedestrian routes. We interviewed 52 females through a quantitative survey in trying to rank the most important attributes that female find that contribute to the perception of safety, with the highest being the visible personnel, followed by the video civilians, and park barricaded with access control. If the park is smaller, they tend to feel safer. We spoke to 3 experts that provided more guidance onto the topic, with the research and knowledge specialists saying the look and feel of the urban space also contributes to the perception. The designer saying that the heartbeat of the community must be at the heart of us designing parks that are responsive to communities. And the safety specialist mentioning that we engage communities and we must engage the community on what will work for them, create and design open spaces that are context specific. Really a golden thread coming through of the experts saying community becomes very key in finding the correct intervention for their communities. Went onto a service safari in Zoo Lake to observe how women interact with the park, and what we observed as attributes that were in that particular park. We found that the clean places, they were well kept, there were security guards and police patrolling, but what we deemed to be negative attributes were there were unofficial car guards, official car guards that were idle and not really patrolling, and some homeless people that we noted when we were at the park. We went to define the persona and the journey mapping and develop some idea, and subsequently selected an idea that we will propose to solve the problem. We want you to meet Bernice. Bernice is a 49-year-old woman that has 3 kids. She's got attitude that says life is beautiful and must be enjoyed. Her needs when using the park, she says, look, I need calm and secure spaces, affordable, and I must have company. So the issue of other people being around becomes critical, and I'm motivated by achievement and progress. We wanted to understand what Jenny Bernice goes through before she makes a decision to go to a park. She indicated that she needed some space on a Friday, decided that she will go to a park, called a friend who then confirmed that they will join them at the park, which became a validation that she indeed will pursue her decision to go to the park. They went to the park, very important. They went to the other side of the park where they felt unsafe and drove around to find a much safer space where there were people with kids, where they felt there were other people around, and enjoyed the staying at the park for the day. We developed some ideas based on all those findings that we're starting to build a golden thread that ensured that community involvement, other people being around, do contribute to the perception that the park is safer. We developed an artificial intelligent dog that we call a robot dog that works with a raised band. When you put it around your hand, your arm, it reads your hormones in terms of stress hormones, your cortisol, adrenaline. When they go up, it alerts the artificial intelligent dog, robot dog, to come and assist you, and it will come through in terms of disarming the person that's trying to harm. Then there is the super app that then has got many features that I will talk to onto the next slide. And the current features that we observed when we're going through the solution with that, there are drones that are currently used in parks, were used in COVID to try and assist people to social distance, charging points, Wi-Fi, public and private partnerships that we observe. So really some level of technology starting to come through in this space. The app that we call the Super Ed, My Park app that we are talking about, has got features to say you can book where you are going in the park, which part of the park you are going to use. Your friends can rate you. It interfaces with social media so that we start to build a user a profile that begins to tell what type of people will be coming to the park when you are at the park. We developed some prototypes, storyboarding, and tested the concept. This is the look and feel of my app, really fresh, crisp, and user-friendly. It has an SOS capability that will alert the security if you happen to be in danger. In delivering the storyboard, we explained the problem background, presented some concept which, on the third stage, explained some features in order to elicit feedback, and presented some ideas, and then went to present some ideas that could go into the second phase. In terms of concept testing, people said that it looks easy to use, it's cost effective, knowing who's at the park will make me feel safer, the community element coming through. The challenge with the app, they were saying they're not willing to pay for download, and data can be expensive. Different challenges for different communities, and it can attract petty crime, as I'm carrying my phone around in the park can attract criminals. On the robot dog, they said, look, it could work, not a bad idea, may be effective in high crime parks, maybe, and it's really a nice and a good innovation. But the negatives was that the robot dog will not scare people, maybe in the park, in the suburb, not in the CBD, one robot dog might not be enough, and that's some of the feedback that we received. Then went on to say, how do we measure success? How are we going to measure that our innovation is going to address the challenge? We will use both qualitative and quantitative measures. With qualitative measures, is council involved? Is there business interest? Are there other partners? Is it in terms of quantitative, the number of downloads, unique users, and some advertising revenue that we will start to generate from the solution. We're then going to go to market by ensuring that we create an awareness by reaching people through educational campaigns. Then we ensure that people engage the app with the aim to convert them so that there's conversion and take up of the app usage, then therefore and with the main goal of turning those users into advocates who will invite other people to use the app. Very important that we move from an education where we use radio and digital, and then going to park involvement users, where we can then begin to have engagement and understand more about the topic and get some feedback from the users. This will allow us to go into phase 2, where we really now have a community to introduce the robot dog. We'll talk about the robot dog on newspapers, blogs, social media, and park events. We had some feedback from Syndicate 3 that says it is innovative, but rather our presentation was lengthy. They then said we could incorporate some business modeling and look at competition and integration of different steps from double diamonds, and emphasize on awareness and marketing before the launch.